Welcome back to another episode of the Step Parenting Network. I'm Lena Shine, and today we're delving into an introspection of 5 things I wish I knew before becoming a stepmom. These are things that would have made step parenting a lot easier if someone had sat me down and shared these things with me. So today I'm going to do that for you. Before we jump into today's episode, if you're watching on YouTube, like this video and consider subscribing to our channel, and thank you in advance. It means the world to me that you're part of this community, and together we'll grow and get better. Watch all the way through to the end because you don't want to miss the last point. Now, let's get back to the video. Most women never grow up saying, my dream is to meet a man with children from a previous relationship and live happily ever after. But things happen and you meet a wonderful man, a leader, your best friend, your answered prayer, and he already has children from a previous relationship. So what do? You become a stepmom to his children. Let's talk about 5 things I wish I knew before becoming a stepmom. The first one is that it is not easy. Before becoming a stepmom, I didn't think much into what blending a family looked like or felt like. And today, when I think of a blended family, I think of it as, or imagine the mixing of different ingredients to make a smoothie. The process is noisy and there is grinding and mixing and the cleaning that is involved. That's how I imagine a blended family, because you go through a process, but the end product is beautiful and become refined and transformed by growth because you're not the same as when you started. It may not be society's standard of a perfect family, but it is beautiful. One of the things that makes step parenting or being a stepmom complex and hard is often the absence of natural connection and biological bonding. A lot of step parents try to create this type of connection with the stepchildren, and that can take time, or it may not happen at all. Most step parents also internalize the struggle because of the fear of being judged or misunderstood, and then end up blaming themselves for the missed connection. So if you're a stepmom listening or watching this and you recognize that you're struggling with this, remember that this is not your fault and you're doing great. The second thing I wish I knew before becoming a step parent is that love isn't always enough. What I mean is, love between you and your spouse isn't always enough. You need to be willing and prepared to work with your partner on unity, beliefs, be unified in your beliefs, your value of raising children, how you want to resolve conflicts, your boundaries in parenting, in step parenting, and in co-parenting. This will save you a lot of stress. Communication with your spouse is very important here because there are times that your experience as a step parent will be very different from your spouse's experience as a parent. And when you fail to communicate, you live your experience alone without the support of your spouse. Another way to look at it is being unified with your spouse helps to gain trust and connection with your stepchildren. Children are always watching. When they see the friendship, the communication, the partnership between you and their parent, it signals to their brain that you're safe, liked by their parent, and therefore can be trusted. The third thing I wish I knew before becoming a step parent is that step parenting has its seasons. Most people experience that it is harder in the beginning of their journey as a step parent than it is later. When you first become a step parent, it feels like you have entered into this world versus you're creating your world together. You start to learn not only how to live with your spouse for the first time, but also how to live with his or her children. Things that they like, how they live, and how you fit into all of it. It tends to be easier as the children grow, and your relationship with your stepchildren can depend on their ages. Most step parents who meet their stepchildren between the ages of 1 to 7 tend to form a closer relationship with them. That is because the older the stepchildren are, the less the possibility or the desire to form a connection with the step-parent. So if you're coming in as a new stepmom or stepdad, understand that the level of involvement will largely depend on the ages of your stepchild, the level of involvement of the other parent, and the child's interest in even having a relationship with you. The fourth point is your step-parenting role will test your relationship with your spouse. From the loyalty binds of the stepchild to the high conflict co-parent, your relationship with your spouse will be tested, especially in the area of communication, boundaries, and values, and how you raise the children. The most difficult part of this is that you may not have been there from the beginning to influence how the children are raised, but may have to either live with their learned habits, which can be hard, especially if you do not approve of them. Going back to point number 2, that is why working on being unified is very important, because it presents the opportunity to actively partner with your spouse, not just in parenting or step parenting, but in your marriage. As a biological parent, it may be easier for your spouse to handle discipline and the not so fun teachable moments because the children might receive it better. There is no rule book, so the two of you can decide what works best for you. The last point is to maintain your self-care and me time. When a woman becomes a stepmom, she tries to find her space in her new family and often gets sucked into the world of the children, long drawn out court proceedings or custody battle, schedules, or even co-parenting. It can be a huge shift from how your life used to be, and that can be stressful. So find the balance between being there for your new family and also being there for you. Create joyful moments for yourself and prioritize your me time, where you simply enjoy doing solo activities or activities that you enjoy with your friends. Stay in tune with yourself and your growth journey so that you can identify where you are as a woman. Remember that before you became a wife, a mom, or a step parent, there was you. You can play all these roles and still not lose yourself in the process. Let go of the stress by loving on yourself and giving yourself grace, because as much as you give a lot of grace, you deserve it too. If you've enjoyed this episode, like and share with a stepmom or a stepdad. Help me spread the word that we're building a community for step parents. I enjoyed sharing with you, and I'll see you in the next episode.